In my recent year-end video, I talked about how 2024 might be the best year in hip-hop history, okay, in rap music history. And the question might be why? Is it just that there's so much good music out there? Probably not. It's probably because of this whole Great Reset, a term coined by someone I'll be discussing in a second, where we are being forced to ask ourselves, what does rap music, what does hip-hop culture mean beyond its commercial possibilities? Like what is the essence of it? What does it say? What does it do? Is it just a product, or is it a cultural force? And thanks to the Kendrick and Drake beef, we have been asking that. But that's not the only reason why I think this is the best year for hip-hop. It's because the other years that I consider 1988, 1989, 1993, 1994, 1999, okay? Those years are great, of course. But you know what they didn't have? They didn't have YouTube. Some of them had the Vibe, and the Source and all that, sure, and MTV, traditional media, but none of them had YouTube. And I think what 2024 has done more than any year that I've at least experienced is centered better dialogue about hip hop and about rap. And that's what I'm here to discuss. This is a sort of future academic guide. Okay, that's with a C. I'm pretending 10 years, 20 years in the future, academics are going to come back and they're going to say, well, what happened to YouTube, to discourse on rap music in 2024? And I'm here. I'm your guide. While you're sitting there in the stacks and you're trying to think about how to write this thesis, this is the state. And what we're seeing is that the level of dialogue has gone up. And more importantly, the visibility of that dialogue is going up. The sustainability of that dialogue is going up. Art and culture has taken the center of the discourse. It's helped to push out, it's made commentary secondary. Okay, it's still important, but it's a complementary aspect. It's no longer just about who kills who F's who F's whose baby mama F's whose baby mama, all that kind of stuff. None of it. What's really becoming the center, or at least what is taking more space, what is taking more eyeballs and thought, is this cultural appreciation. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who acknowledges that the old guard is still there, the kind of exploitative side of YouTube criticism. Your academics with a K, your Trap Lord Ross, your Vlad TV, your Adam 22, people who are more centered on the non-cultural aspects of this culture, right? But in a way, I feel like there's less, or at least the viewing of them is done with a more critical eye. And it's because of this flourishing of more culture-centered rap criticism. And there's going to be three ways I'm going to describe that. Okay, the number one way is that we have old heads with new visibility. All right, so some people who are already on YouTube and been doing it for years, other people who have been doing real journalism, real analysis, real criticism, real academic work on hip hop and on rap music, joining YouTube. All of a sudden, these voices are getting a huge boost thanks to this moment. And that has done amazing work for raising the level of discourse. In addition to those old heads with new visibility is young folks, young creators, young people who are analyzing hip-hop culture and rap music are smarter, or more careful, or more measured, are adding more to the discourse. And I'll be giving you the names of some of them. And the third, and perhaps most cruelly ironic coming from me, is that this new wave is way more centered on black content creators, on black Americans. And I think that's super important that happens because this is a black American art form, okay? And it should not be lost on you, the fact that black American commentators' voice on hip-hop is rising in visibility and in popularity. YouTube has a huge racism problem. I didn't say had, I said has, H-A-S, present tense, a huge racism problem. But at least in this one aspect, we are starting to see some positivity. Now, you're hearing that coming from a guy who gets sunburned in the rain. Okay, so I know that I'm not a part of that. But what I will say, that in addition to there being more Black American voices in this space, the non-Black voices, in particular the white voices who are here, those who are explicitly aware of their guest status, move with respect. Like, those who move with respect are also seeing more visibility. So as opposed to those who are seen as vultures or just extracting wealth from this other culture, it's a tougher day for the vultures. It's a better day for the respectful tourists, as I like to call us. Okay? So I think those are the three aspects that are really helping this whole moment. And I think it's very clear to see how Kendrick's rise, how the year of Kendrick helped all of those things happen all at the same time. Now listen, I'm going to name a lot of people and I'm going to forget a lot of people. I watch so much YouTube. I don't watch only stuff about rap. That's probably the thing I watch most about, but I also watch a lot of stuff about Marseille's soccer team, about the Boston Red Sox, cultural commentary, political stuff, So I might forget some names. Please put them in the comments, okay? I do my year-end lists. I don't have a team. I have a me. So I forgot the Boldy James and Conductor Williams album. I thought that Quatica album came out last year, not this year. So snubs are just forgetful, not intentional. Please put them in the comments. My daughter, who just left for school, I told her about this plan. She said, "Dad, you're going to seem like a D1 Glazer." And I was like, "Do you mean D1 the rapper, or do you mean D1 like Division 1? She said Division 1. And to that I said, yeah, I know. I understand. But you know what? I say it all the time. Glazing is good. Enthusiasm is good. What are you doing if you are not enthusiastic about something? If you're talking about something and you don't have enthusiasm behind it, I don't want to hear you. All right? I'm way too old to be cool." Now, I don't do sponsorships on this video, but I do have a call. And that's why I did this whole video, because I had a sort of crisis of conscience, okay? Where I'm a YouTuber and I'm a full-time French professor and YouTube is my hobby. And, it's been a very good year economically. It's been a very good year to be an established YouTuber, right? If you talk about rap music. And I was just like, man, I'm kind of hoarding here. So I should really try to show appreciation for these other creators by supporting them. And so I made this video. But also, almost every single one of these voices I'm talking about, I either have joined their Patreon or joined their membership. And that's what I'm asking you to do, not me. I mean, you can join my membership. I just started that. I joined my Patreon. You can. But really, I'd actually prefer you to join one of these people and tell me in the comments, okay? Tell me in the comments, whose channel did you join or have you joined this year? Because we need to really celebrate and support this and nurture this, because the people who I'm talking about are putting in a lot of work, and AdSense is good, but why not support them, okay? All right, now before I get to the new people, it's not like there haven't been great voices in this space. The king of YouTube music commentary, Anthony Fantano, has always been a great commentator on hip-hop. He's always been a respectful white voice, all those things, right? So it's great. He's there. He's had a great year as well, like he always does. Dead End Hip Hop has been doing a lot of work for a long time, being a great voice. Sean C's always been here, adding, being a great template for a lot of these kind of younger people who I'm seeing, where it's often very personality-based, but at the same time, very respectful and knowledgeable about the culture and the way to talk about it. Your talk show hosts, Joe Buddens and the Rory and Mal. And one second, I have to pause this because my daughter did not properly lock the door. I'll be right back. So anyways, it's not like there's been no good commentary before this year. But let's get into that first kind of category that I like talking about, the old heads' new visibility. And this is what interests me the most, are actual legends, actual pillars of hip-hop criticism and commentary getting their flowers, getting their eyeballs. And this is the greatest impact to me of what I call the Kendrick industrial complex. Just how many people are able to start a YouTube channel or keep it going thanks to this beef and what this beef forces us to talk about. Because if this was the Diddy commentary industrial complex, that's a very different world than this one. So obviously, number one, Justin Hunt. It's been the year of Justin Hunt. I've been on his program a few times. Really an honor, and he's been doing this for years and years and years and years. He is the pioneer of sort of long format YouTube criticism about hip hop, and this has just been his year. And his amazing blend of like just great intellect, amazing ability as a journalist. I mean, if you watch him and see the way that he talks, the way that he edits, the way that he communicates, it's like a class. It's like a journalism class. It really is. And the way he's able to mix in humor is just increasingly funny. Just the more and more he keeps going. But the other thing that he did, and part of what makes this whole thing so wild, why he's kind of the Kendrick of this whole situation, is that he's constantly putting people on. Okay, he's got a whole slew of Dodie Sixes and lefty gun plays that he's helping out here. He's constantly putting on people, constantly giving them shine, including myself. And it's this generosity that is just spectacular. And that's a lot of what defines a lot of what's happening here, is it's for the culture, not for the bag. Which is great to say, but what makes 2024 so great is that it's made it that if you are here for the culture, and I mean that sort of in the two senses, both the culture, meaning Black American culture, the part of Black American culture that is hip-hop culture, and also just artistic culture in general, which is, less racialized or whatever, less specific. Like, if you are here for culture itself, you also get the bag. That's why 2024 is so great. And one of the things that he did was he created the Culture United Roundtable, and of which I'm proud to be a part of. And like every single person who's on there, is exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, let's think about the fact that Rob Markman, who's been on YouTube for a long time, putting out his own music, so he has a great perspective as a rapper, but he's now adding his voice to YouTube commentary, and every single thing he does is great and interesting and comes from that perspective. We're talking about a long-time journalist, okay, who, in addition to being a rapper, from New York, he's also worked at The Source, at Vibe, at XXL. He's also been one of the primary forces behind Genius for the last, decade or whatever. And that's according to me, not according to him. So I don't know what his actual role is. So I don't mean to be stepping on any toes. But it's like that perspective cannot be fabricated, okay? If you go back and you type in Kendrick Lamar interview, after you get past and through the wildly disappointing interview he did with Nardwuar, that's like the most disappointing Nardwuar interview ever, you're going to find Rob Markman's interview. If you look up some rapper interview, you're probably going to run up against Rob Markman's interview that he did for MTV or whoever, right? And now he has a space and a voice and a platform, and people are coming and listening to him talk about this stuff. It's great, and it's because of the beef. It's because of 2024. Now, another part of the Culture United has been on YouTube for much longer, Curtis King, and again, it's a perspective of an artist, but also a producer. So a rapper, but also a producer. So, we're talking about somebody who produced a song for Ab-Soul and Kendrick Lamar in 2007, okay? Who's able to explain the industry side from inside and out. And for him, again, he's well-established way before this. I mean, all these people are well-established way before this. I'm talking about the bump that they get from this, right? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. In a similar way, he's not a part of the Culture United thing, but Open Mike Eagle, who's a great underground rapper who I've enjoyed forever. Not forever, since I started this channel. I wasn't paying attention to music before I started this channel. He has his own thing going, and he's like this Bill Murray-esque figure who talks about rap. He talks about rap from an insider perspective, from a comedian's perspective, because he's also a comedian. And it's like, you didn't realize how badly you wanted to hear these voices until you were exposed to them, until you found them. FD Signifier is also part of the Culture United Roundtable, and what's funny is, I've been a Patreon supporter of his for years. He's probably my favorite YouTuber of all time, and just like, he's not even a rap YouTuber, right? That's not his thing. but it is a thing that he does, and he brings so much to the conversation, and his video on Drake and Kendrick is largely agreed to be the definitive video, and when you watch it, you just weep. If you are a fellow, I don't know, I'm not going to debase myself and call myself a content creator. If you are a fellow scholar of hip-hop, you see what he was able to do with that video, and you just weep, because you're just like, God damn it, I try to be so good. I try to say it so well. I try so hard to bring up all these great points and be so great. And he just dunked on everybody, myself included. And he's there. In addition, we have Jeremy Hecht on that Culture United roundtable. This is that example I'm talking of both like a younger voice and also a white voice who knows how to move in this space with respect. Somebody who just does not talk about stuff when it's like just a question of Black Death. He doesn't just kind of like jump in and just be like, oh, and then this, and then this, and then that. And then he's a part of this whole other thing that spirals out where Hip Hop DX has been around for a long time, but they're also getting more respect and more attention. And he's on the Bigger Picture podcast with Elliot Wilson, who himself is another one of these kinds of people who have been a hip-hop journalist for decades. And if you study hip-hop and you study rap, you've come across his work over and over and over and over again. And now all of a sudden he has this public face, and young people are coming and checking out what he has to say, alongside DJ Head, another great producer, an actual participant in the culture. And they just get together and they talk about all this stuff. And it's like... Even if I'm talking about all these people, myself included, and we all are talking about the same 6 songs, somehow we're all saying different stuff. We're all bringing different perspective to it. A special note for the We Love Hip Hop Network, Friday Ricky Dredd, who's also gotten a lot more shine through this beef, even though he's Canadian and he often comes across as being pro-Drake. I think that his measured and his culture first perspective on rap music north of the border is essential. And the fact that, again, this goes back to Justin Hunt, the company man, him knowing that he needed to be focused on, that was an important thing for this conversation, shows the generosity and foresight of Justin, but also like the importance that this whole thing does not get boiled down to Canada bad, right? That it's not a question of that. One time we had Absa-fucking-lutely on. I'm just going to spell the name of their channel because I really enjoy Absa's channel. I'm a member of the channel. I think you should be too. She does great live streams, but her name is impossible to find on YouTube at the moment. Until she gets bigger, her name is going to be harder to find. So I implore you to subscribe so it's easier to find her channel. ABSAFCKNLUTELY. Absa-fucking-lutely. You know, she has this whole different approach where she's like a strategist. She's like a super educated, like, very idiosyncratic, like very energetic voice who just adds so much and so consistently. Again, we're all talking about the same 6 songs here for the most part. She will say things in such a way that makes you go, snap, like just bam, it just snaps right into focus, because that's what she can bring to the conversation, is this whole other perspective. I will say she is the first female content creator I'm discussing, and that is perhaps the issue that's happening. That, you know, maybe a downside to this whole thing is it's still a very male centric conversation happening. Chilling with Moni or Chill In with Moni, I don't even know which one it is, but that's gotten a lot more popular, and she's a good mixture of sort of, you know, culture and commentary. But I will say maybe 2025 ends up being the year of the female rap content creator. That'd be awesome. And then, of course, there's the last member of the Culture United Super Friends of Hip Hop, me. If I could step outside of myself for a second and talk about myself as I'm talking about the other people, I did not have 100,000 subscribers. The idea of being a full-time YouTuber was impossible before 2024. It is now possible. Now, listen, I have a full-time job and I have good health insurance, okay? So I'm not quitting my job anytime soon. This is still going to be a hobby I picked up in the lobby, right? But, which is part of the reason why I'm so insistent on supporting other YouTubers, because like other YouTubers, this is their full-time job. I can't believe how impossible that is. But, I do bring an academic voice. I do bring my history of spending a life in the humanities and being an actual academic, and if I could be so bold and intellectual in the oldest sense of the term intellectual, and my voice is being heard way more. I'm doing the same stuff I've been doing for the past 6 years. It's just I have thousands and thousands of more people watching me. And that's emboldening me to continue at this high level of discourse. It's, okay, enough about me. So, like just yesterday, I was on the Rap Latte podcast. So like Rap Latte, this is a perfect example of what's happening. Rap Latte did not exist before 2024. Green King has been a rapper. King Green, has been a rapper for a long time. A very great underground rapper for a long time. But he now has, and his takes are just wildly good, wildly deep, wildly smart. And then his co-host is Toure. Sorry, I can't help but pronounce it with a French accent. Toure. Who's like, this dude's been around forever. This dude was at the 95 Source Awards, okay? That's how long he's been commenting on this stuff. And he's an academic. And he's taught classes at NYU, right? And they're just getting started. They have under 10,000 subscribers right now. But it's going to keep growing, in addition to me being on there, Curtis was on there, FD Signifier's on there, Fantano's on there. Anybody who knows anything, they don't see a channel with under 10,000 subscribers. They see King Green and Toure, and they will jump as high as they possibly can to get onto that channel, And that's just added. Now that's added. Now for 2025 and presumably 26 and 27, 28, we're going to have all these older voices here. And we're going to have younger people. Like Read My Soul, the person who created that term, the Great Reset, for describing what's happening to hip-hop now that the party has died and then something better has taken its place. Seriously, like Read My Soul is just like the energy and insight, how personable. He starts every single podcast, every single episode off with saying, if you're looking for the right opinion, you're in the wrong place. He has this like energy and this like youthful passion, while also the analytical mind that is necessary to make interesting commentary. And it's just like, and bam, there he is, and he's going to be there. In a similar way, Eric the Young God, who's in grad school. And the idea of being a YouTuber in grad school makes me anxious, because I was in grad school. It's tough, but he has like this Floridian perspective, and again, like the young energy, like Read My Soul and Eric the Young God. Both of them are just so smart and unexpected and so funny. And maybe that's kind of the Sean C. school influence, of just like how to be like smart and young and pertinent. Therapy, which you never even really see his face, but it's more of a podcast, and he's just like funny and honest and like soothing, and like there's a thing that podcasters can do that isn't the same thing as what YouTubers do, where you just kind of feel like it's a different kind of parasocial relationship that you have, and just so unbelievably personable and engaging and intelligent. Like his recent breakdown of TV Off, like he just took time to just really just drill down into the weird little sounds that Kendrick makes and just repeats them over and over again, and it's just hilarious just the way he's able to pull it out. Bracket is more of an edgy, I assume, younger person. We never see his face, so I don't know, he might be 80, but just like, again, like he has an edgy presentation, but just crazy deep analysis. And just, how many names here? I'm barely even getting into other people who I just started to discover, because again, it's all up to the algorithm. So, Anthony Aiken Jr., I saw one of his things was really good. Wayno was really good, but for some reason his stuff doesn't pop up on my algorithm as much. And there's more underground stuff going on, you know? I mean, Def Goldblum, I've been watching him for a long time. If you're really into the sort of the Invisible Renaissance, that dope shit, in a very similar way, just putting out these great pieces of, like, analysis of lesser-known artists. And even in other formats, the Dissect podcast has been there for a long time, but they're also making more inroads into YouTube and guesting on YouTube. And I'm going to be honest. I'm jealous of those guys. I mean, it's primarily that guy, because I feel like they do a lot of what I do, but probably better than I do. So, like, there's a weird jealousy that comes about. But if I'm being honest, you know, that jealousy comes from a place of respect. So, just sometimes people say, like, Skye, you should be on the Dissect podcast. And I was like, why am I sort of against that? But anyways, I'm not against it. It's great. On Instagram, you know, JF Musics is doing amazing work of, like, being a rapper while breaking down rap. As a final note here, I did want to you know, pour out a little liquor here for Watch the Throne, which was a great service. Just talking about Kanye. They really understood Kanye. And it's one of the saddest things about Kanye's fall and his plunge into anti-Semitism is they took the principled and understandable stance that it was no longer possible to talk about Kanye West. But they were doing amazing work at really high levels. And finally, what's the dirt? So what's the dirt? It's fascinating because he was an example of someone who really popped off during this beef. And his breakdown of the songs were excellent and widely recognized by many people as being some of the best research stuff on the internet. And then this is what's fascinating, is he forgot his place as a guest in this culture. You know, he said something which rubbed black listeners the wrong way. And I talked about this on my video about it. I didn't understand why it rubbed them the wrong way either. I didn't fully understand it. I understand it now, but it had to be explained to me because this is not my lived experience. And sadly, his initial reaction was highly defensive and attacking, as opposed to, did I say something that was, okay, you know what? It's your lived experience, so I need to listen to you and figure out why what I said was messed up, and then move from there. But he didn't do that. And then also he started, like, shilling, you know, right-wing seltzer. So I don't know. But I do think he deserves to be mentioned here because he did, for a period of time, contribute to this rise of discourse. But it's interesting that his fall is tied into the fact that he did not respect his tourist visa. All right, so there you go. There's my upbeat, which I ended on a down note. I really shouldn't have done that. My upbeat thing here. So tell me in the comments, whose channel did you join because of this video? Please tell me in the comments, because, you know, we got to support this. When I was younger, I used to buy Vibe. I used to buy The Source every month. I would sometimes buy Vibe, although Vibe is usually too much about R&B. And then when XXL started, I bought XXL most months. You know, that was great. But that was, you know, that was like, adjusted for today's money, that was like $20-$30 a month I was spending on hip-hop journalism. And that's half as good as the stuff that's out here now. So please support YouTube hip-hop journalism, would you? All right. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. Happy I don't recognize any of those things, if that's how you feel. And get ready for the Stampies coming soon. There's the camera.